The Prime Minister's birthday, 18 months ago. After this visit to a school, Boris Johnson returned to Downing Street and to the Cabinet Room, where he had stood a few weeks earlier, remembering those who had lost their lives in the pandemic. But that afternoon, while the rules still banned social gatherings at home, ITV News alleges the Cabinet table was decked out with party food and birthday cake, and ITV News claims 20 to 30 people came for the event. They claim they included the designer Lulu Little, who was working on the refurbishment of the Prime Minister's flat. Number 10 said it was a brief gathering and the Prime Minister himself was there for only 10 minutes. That evening, according to ITV News, some friends of the family then celebrated the Prime Minister's birthday at the Downing Street flat. Social gatherings indoors were still banned. Number 10 said there was a small gathering outside in the garden that night, within the rules at the time.
People should not be inside the homes of their friends and families, not inside the homes of your friends and families, unless it is to access the garden, to get to the garden.
Boris Johnson was in Milton Keynes today. This latest allegation risks adding to voter anger ahead of Sue Gray's report into the claims about Whitehall parties. And it comes after the Prime Minister had to start his day conceding an inquiry into allegations by a Muslim Tory MP that she lost her ministerial job because of her faith.
We take these allegations extremely seriously. I took them very seriously when they were raised with me 18 months ago. Very glad there's an investigation taking place now.
Nusrat Ghani welcomed the inquiry. Her supporters said it should have happened when she first reported the claims. And tonight, a surprise ministerial resignation. Treasury Minister Lord Agnew, the minister in charge of Whitehall efficiency, walked out of the government, saying the largest of the COVID business loan schemes have been wide open to fraud.
The oversight by both BEIS and the British Business Bank of the panel lenders of BBLs has been nothing less than woeful. They have been assisted by the Treasury, who appear to have no knowledge or little interest in the consequences of fraud to our economy or society.
We launched bounce-back loans so that small businesses could quickly get the finance they needed during the peak of the pandemic.
Lord Agnew, seen here at last year's budget, insisted his resignation wasn't timed to harm the Prime Minister. But it was a rare and dramatic resignation statement in the Lord's chamber and won't help jangling nerves at number 10.
I have sadly decided to tender my resignation as a minister across the Treasury and Cabinet Office with immediate effect. I would be grateful if my noble Lord would pass this letter on to the Prime Minister at his earliest convenience. The combination of arrogance, indolence and ignorance freezes the government machine. Action taken today will give this government a sporting chance of cutting income tax before a likely May 2024 election. If my removal helps that to happen, it would have been worth it. Thank you and goodbye.
Drama isn't done much in this chamber, but in these turbulent times it's spreading everywhere. The Treasury said it was fully engaged in cracking down on fraudulent claims. None had been written off. Well, although you had a minister waltzing out of the government there and claiming billions of pounds in fraud was happening under the government's noses, there would actually be some relief in number 10 that Lord Agnew there was not actually taking aim at the Prime Minister or at any other ministers. So relatively, that would probably be a major story normally, but relatively low pressure from that event because the whole scenery is still being dominated by the parties issue, the drip of allegations added to tonight by ITV News with their story. And while we've been coming to you on air, Lulu Little has put out a statement clarifying any involvement she might have had with any of this, saying she was not invited to any birthday party as a guest. She entered the Cabinet Room briefly as requested while waiting to speak to the Prime Minister. We understand Sue Gray knew about this event already, or events, depending on who you believe about what actually happened here, and that therefore should not delay her report. We still don't know exactly when that's coming out, but it shouldn't mean that she's got extra work to do. She's already processed that. Meanwhile, over in Parliament, The attempt to cajole Tory MPs to stay with the Prime Minister, not put in letters of no confidence, that's been going on through the weekend. Cabinet ministers joining it. And I actually watched with my own eyes a slight change in the mood, the approach today. As one of those who's been pressed into service by the Prime Minister put it to me, we're not being quite as aggressive now. It's an arm round the shoulder moment. Well, will that moment last? When will the report come? You'll have to stay tuned.
We will, Gary. Thanks very much.